Attention listeners, mark your calendars for Colorado Gives Day on December 10th. Support Aftersight and give to the causes you care about. Go to coloradogivesday.org/organizations/aftersight between now and December 10th to make your donation.
Welcome to Blind Level Tech. This isn't just accessible tech talk. This is technology on a whole new level. We're showing you just how possible it is to live the life you want.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Blind Level Tech. I am your unfortunately lethargic host, Evan Starnes, and I am joined by my very energetic co-host, Kelvin Crosby.
It's so good to see you, even though I can't see you, man. Evan, come on, man. Let's drink some coffee and let's get that. Hip, hip, hip.
The horse? Well, in my case, the horse, the clippity-cloppity thing.
Well, I mean, let's go beyond just gallop. Let's hip, hip.
Living beyond my hip. Hippopotamus? I don't know. I tried. That was a good attempt. I stole your tagline though. So
yeah.
I
mean, you're galloping along, but we're not Eeyore. Oh, poor me.
Oh, woe is me.
Whoa.
Or whatever he says. Been forever since I've watched that movie. But that's how he always talks.
Yeah.
Well, how are you doing, Kelvin? How's it been since?
Some people laugh record. Well, I have to tell you, if you guys are not busy on Sundays at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we might change it to a little earlier, so you got to stay up on my Deafblind Potter socials to know for sure exactly. But when this comes out, it's either 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So just FYI there. But one of the things that I'm doing with the Deafblind Potter is helping people live beyond their challenges. And as we're getting ready to record this, I just got off a live stream just encouraging people to live beyond their challenges. And what I'm doing is I'm making pottery, telling my story, and living beyond my challenges. And so if you're available, anywhere you find your socials, you'll find me live Sunday nights. And so I'm just pumped up about that, because I get to be encouraging to others and I get to play with mud all at the same time. So how you doing, man?
Yeah, you're making your positive difference. Honestly, I'm doing okay. It's been very quiet over here. I will say, though, I have, as of a few days ago, as of this recording, officially taken over as host of this show
Boo-boo.
And producer of this show.
We love Jonathan. We love Jonathan.
Absolutely. No, Jonathan is the reason the show got off the ground.
True.
Like, this was his, like, BLT was his name originally. Like, but, you know, we've actually been kind of trying to just, well, we started Game Changers, for instance, a couple months ago, and I've been wanting to do more podcasting stuff. So yeah, I've taken over editing the show. So if you guys have noticed some weird shaky transitions between, you know, there was once where I messed up when an episode was supposed to be published. So there's going to be a little bit of shaky. So, there was some, well.
So if you give all your plaints, go to Evan, blame him. All 100%, not me. I'm not touching nothing.
Nope. You're just along for you're along for the ride, my dude. That's what's up.
Yeah, I'm just riding the horse wagon and just hanging out on the wagon, and I ain't holding no reins either.
But speaking about being along, well, actually, before we actually get into today's topic, I think it's time for our tech piece of the week. Oh yeah. So my tech piece of the week is actually more of a tech wish of the week, because I don't have this product yet, but I have seen a demo of it. And that is the new and not so new now, Meta Ray-Ban glasses with Meta AI.
There. You're going there. You're following the crowd, dude. My dude.
I am following the AI crowd because it's basically a pair of glasses with camera, microphones, speakers, and they Bluetooth to your phone, and then they allow you to use like Meta AI to describe images.
And you can call Ira.
It's just a nice you can call Ira. You can actually use you can use Be My Eyes through them. And the thing about these bad boys is they're like $300. So much cheaper than it doesn't have the assistive technology tax on it, which is honestly a huge, another selling point for me. But if you actually want to see a full video of a really good comprehensive review of those glasses, go check out Sam with the Blind Life on YouTube.
He did an amazing job on that.
He really did. He's been killing it over there. But Kelvin, what is your tech piece or tech wish of the week potentially?
So my tech piece of the week is the Zoom P4 Mixer. Why? Because it's easy to travel with, and I can sound like $1 million and go anywhere I want to go and be like, I got this. I can plug up the 4 microphones. I got a sound pad where I can give you a round of applause. I can do this intro like this. Oh yeah. You know what? This is all about this. And then I can do my mic drop. Oh yeah. And the other thing is, what's nice about this, if you want to do a full-blown interview with 4 people, each person can have their own headset.
An SD card in. Exactly.
And so the other thing is, you can plug it into your computer, and you can live stream from it. And that's the thing that's amazing about the Zoom P4. It's a small device with a giant punch.
It is, and it's really, really clean sounding too. Like it's a fantastic interface. Honestly, I want to get one of those. Well, it's not a mixer, really. It's a mixer that happens to function like an interface.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Well,
it's that sweet.
I mean, there was one show I did on the road, and I did it via Bluetooth through the mixer. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either.
No, it worked. Anyway, we've rambled on and on. So let's get into part 2 here of travel tech tips as a blind person. You know, what do you do? When you get off that airplane, how do you find hotel space? How do you map a city or just navigate around? You don't even have to map a city, but how do you navigate around a city that you've never potentially been to before? And, you know, if you're there for a convention, like what are some good tips and practices? We're here to hopefully answer all of those questions today. So let's start first, actually, once you get off that airplane, and we kind of briefly touched on this before, you know, when we were talking about shuttles and, you know, why it might be cheaper to do a shuttle versus a rideshare. But once you get off that plane and, you know, you're out of the airport, you're going to want to try and find some way to get most likely to your hotel space. And assuming you're not going the typical route of rideshare, which would be apps like Uber and Lyft, and I'm sure there are a few others out there. Oh yeah, Zoom has. There's another Zoom.
Oh, there's so many Zooms.
Well, there's also because there's Zoom that makes your P4, so that's a different Zoom.
The Zoom
too.
P4, the Zoom video player, whatever, or
video conferencing system, and then
you got the Zoom rideshare.
Huh.
The Zoom.
That's interesting. I mean, that's actually a brilliant name, but yeah, you could use that. But you're probably, if you want to be, if you want to save some bucks, especially, you're probably going to want to look for some public transit, depending on the area that you're in. And when it comes to looking for public transit and planning routes and just knowing when the buses are going to get there, there is an app that I've used for years and years that has helped me not only find bus routes, but also know up to the, not to the second, but pretty much up to the minute when that bus is going to get there. It has an Apple Watch extension with it, and it's quite accessible. And that app it's literally called Transit. And it's free, and it'll do exactly what I just discussed. It'll help you plan routes too. So if you need to take a route that has multiple bus transfers, You can literally just punch in your final address, and then it'll tell you what buses you need to take, when you need to take them. It'll even give you, I don't know how this used to work well on Android. I haven't tested it, but on iOS, it will give you audible and, well, voice-driven push notifications that'll even say like, your stop is 2 stops away, and on your phone, and it's pretty cool. I'd highly recommend that for looking for transit. There is another app out there too that's just as good called Move It, and I actually kind of like Move It's interface a little bit more.
Move it.
Oh goodness, I'm gonna have to edit this and cringe at my piece right there. Oh goodness. But yeah, Move It's a great app too. So it kind of just depends on, if you haven't tested either, I'd try both because it's really kind of down to a user preference. But what do you typically do, Kelvin, if you're going to like a new city and you want to kind of, get around after the airplane?
Yeah. So a couple of things to think through is what type of city you going to. So a lot of the stuff I've been to lately had been smaller populations. Like go to Shreveport, Louisiana, there's not a lot of options. But it is easy to be found at the airport. So rideshare is not a bad idea. Another thing is when you're thinking about public transit, you need to also think about your safety coming out of that airport. Because there are a lot of airports that are not necessarily in the most safest areas. Like, let's just use an example. The Denver airport, the community kind of in that area isn't the greatest. And if you take that light rail ride all the way out to Denver, you're going to be landing in some interesting places. So those are things you got to think through. So the other thing is, if you're going to use rideshare, is really planning out where you're going to pick up that rideshare. So either work with Aira or have a map of where you need to go, or kind of know what gate you're going to go to, or what door you're going to go to call that rideshare. So that way that rideshare knows exactly where you are. They know what level you're on and what door you're at. And you just make yourself loud and proud and you'll be found. The other thing that I do, for example, when I go to New York, I normally take taxis. So when I go to New York, I normally take the black cab taxis. And they're one of those where you call ahead of time and then they have somebody that can come inside and find you at the checkpoint or after security. And they'll help you with your bag and all that stuff.
Oh, that's nice.
So those are my things that I do. And then the other thing is shuttles. I really like shuttles because it's super simple to find them. Super easy to get help to get to that spot where they're at. It's not too complicated because it's normally a door number with an island spot that you need to get to. And so that's why I tend to lean more on shuttles and Lyft and Ubers when I'm flying out of an airport. And so,
yeah.
But I think one of the things that as you're thinking through this, you're thinking about what's going to be most convenient for you, what's going to be the most easy for you to navigate, and what are you comfortable with. So
I'm glad you brought up the concept of safety and the area, because that is really, especially nowadays, it is really key to know what area you're in and just what's around you, because DIA, like that area of Denver, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of one of those, like, do it at your own risk. I'm not going to tell you to do it or not to do it. It's the systems are there. You have the RTDA line here in Colorado that you can take from the airport, but it's kind of one of those, like, if you can't do rideshare, then it's a good backup. But how about when you get to your hotel and you got to check in and find your room? Since I've been to going to hotels, I've pretty much always had a friend along with me, so that we've been able to take our bags, and that usually that friend's a sightling, so they can find the room and everything. But what do you typically do when you're in a hotel space? I know you're not like the biggest fan of hotels, but
Well, so the question is, do you want to do hotels or Airbnbs?
oh yeah,
If you do
yeah, those.
Airbnbs, you're going to be in a new environment every single situation. The layout's always going to be changing. You're going to have a lot of hurdles that you're not necessarily going to have when you go to a chain hotel. So for me personally, I either book my hotels through my wife or my dad, or I use a travel agent. And so, like my dad, he's a Marriott high level member, so I can get some really really good deals using his stuff. And then my wife uses Best Western, but you gotta be careful with Best Western because not all of them are the most safest. So that's where you gotta kind of be really really aware of the hotel that you're going to and so forth. And then because most hotel websites are not all that accessible for booking, I normally am gonna book it with a Sightline or use Ira to book it or have my wife or my dad book my hotels. When you get there, so this is why I prefer hotels over Airbnbs, especially if you go to a Marriott chain. I'm not. I
Mhm.
can't speak for Hilton because I don't. I've never really been in Hilton chains, but the Marriott layouts are almost identical across hotels. So when you get there, you can expect a similar furniture. You can expect similar layout. You can expect the sinks to behave the way they're gonna be. You can expect what you call it, the bathroom to be similar, all that to be similar. And that is one thing that Marriott does fairly well. It's not that all the time, but it helps when you're in the room to have a good understanding of what that is. The other thing is, this last time I went and traveled, I was in Kentucky, and I was staying at a Marriott by the airport. And so they had a shuttle that I could catch from the airport to the hotel.
Oh, nice.
And when I got off, nobody knew what to do with me because I was blind. But this is where you got to be proud that you're blind, because the more noise you make, don't be mean. Just be like, the more you bang in, the more people are gonna help you. And that's the strategy I took for this last trip I was on. And the lady from the front desk took me to gave me her shoulder, and I went to the front desk. And then next thing you know, I'm getting a whole tour of the hotel. So I figure out where
Oh wow,
the
they give you a whole tour.
yeah. So it gave me a whole tour of where my room was. Helped me navigate the room. Helped me figure out where the pool was. Figure out where the lounge was, because if you're a Supreme member for a gold member with Marriott, you can
Oh
go.
yeah, you got the VIP lounge.
Yep. So figured that out. And then I figured out where the restaurant was, figure out where you could sit and hang out, all that stuff. It took extra time, but it was worth it because I was there for 5 days. And I really was able to make good progress in navigating. And by the time I was done, I had that hotel memorized. Like I could go back and be like, oh yeah, I'm
That's
home.
impressive.
And so that's where you kind of have to think through what are your needs, and that is one thing from a blind perspective is you can eliminate too much of change. But one thing I do want to emphasize though is if you're planning on going to different hotels within a short period of time. So like for me, I went on a trip for 3 weeks and I was in 8 different hotels in a 3
Oh
week.
my god.
And think about that. That is remapping every single hotel. And we had one hotel where the bathroom was in the middle of the room. And I was, I didn't even go to the back. I was
Really?
only there. I was only in that hotel for like 16 hours, and I was like, forget it. You know, once somebody can see, I'll find a bathroom. But it was one of those where if you're traveling that much, you got to be really, really loose on your mapping.
Good at mental mapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what you need to do, you need to delete stuff from that mental mapping so you don't remember it when you wake up the next morning. And that was tough. I highly don't recommend it.
Yeah, if you're trying to go to a new hotel and like find the pool, but you end up going, trying to use a mental map that you made for an old hotel, it's not gonna be easy. But I'm glad you mentioned like the pool and stuff, because odds are when you're staying in a new hotel, especially if you're staying there for like 3 days or more, odds are you're gonna want to use some of those accommodations, whether that be the pool, the hot tub, the gym, if they have breakfast in the morning. Yep. How do you navigate that too? Because that's actually something I'm genuinely actually curious how you would navigate, because food and breakfast.
This is where you become loud and proud. Because the more loud and proud you are, the more, again, and why I'm saying loud and proud, not angry and obnoxious.
Yeah, we're not saying like, hey, can somebody help me? We're not saying that at all. It's just kind of like being assertive, like, hey, I was wondering if I could have some assistance with the food over here if you need it, you know?
And so for me, the way most of the breakfast buffets work, a lot of it, the same stuff all the time, like eggs and sausage and bacon and potatoes and
pancakes.
all that. Yeah. So basically, you can kind of have a general idea what you're going to get. So basically, what I normally do, I walk in, I get there, and just kind of stand there, and just kind of wait, and then I'll if there's really nobody around that works there, I will call up Ira, and just start trying to fumble around, and eventually somebody's gonna come, and they're like, "You're touching everything." Yeah, I am. If you don't want me to touch me, help me out.
Okay.
And so, so with that, I tend to navigate it with somebody that works there, because they already know what's on the menu for that day, and you just go, they'll normally put you in a seat and bring you your coffee and all that stuff, and it works, especially if you're in part of the lounge, the VIP lounge. Yeah, there's always somebody there willing to help you. I had one lady. It was Southern hospitality. That was for sure. I mean, it was for sure. But and it was nice. Like, don't get me wrong, it was nice. But from being from California, and you don't really get a lot of help out here. That it was a little bit more than I was used to. And I'll never forget being in South Carolina and at a hotel, and I'm getting breakfast, and I walked in. I had already gotten lost because this was part of this whole big trip that I was doing, and it was the last hotel we were going to be in before we went home. And this big old mama, like Mama Bear. I don't know if she was black or white. I don't know, but she just grabbed me like with both her arms, and she was like, "Oh, honey, we're gonna go get you some breakfast. I got you covered. No worries." I was like, "Oh, I'm going."
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, here we go."
It's on. Yeah.
And it was full. It was everything of this. I mean, this mama, and like, she worked there, and she was loud and southern, and it
was definitely Southern comfort. Oh, yeah. That's for sure.
Honestly, I felt way too much of that woman. I was like, that's too much for me. But it was one of those things. Like, when you are dealing with those situations, yes, you advocate for yourself.
Absolutely.
But remember, if you're staying there multiple days, you're more than likely going to see that person the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So be aware. How do you advocate? And also, if you come prepared that you might get grabbed by somebody that works there and dragged to your seat, if you go with that mindset in your mind, I'm prepared for this, and then you either take it for a ride or you take a moment. Hey, I'm so glad.
Can I grab your arm, please? Or
Yeah, you just like, hey, I'm so
something like that. Because I can't be grabbed by people.
Oh no, I can't either. But it happened. It happened all the time.
All the time. Yep. It sure does.
That's where, I mean, in regards to like something like food related, it's highly recommended that you just be patient and take a moment, do your education, but do it nicely. And then, yeah, sometimes they forget. I mean, so.
But you can use Be My Eyes or Ira to look at the buffet counter and just see what's there. But honestly, like, if it's early morning and you just want to get your morning coffee and stuff, honestly, what I personally would do myself is just kind of walk around until I find what sounds like a staff member, or, just be like, hey, excuse me, miss or mister, do you work here? And then, they'll help you get situated and all that. It's really just dependent on the person.
Yep.
Now, when it comes to outside of the hotel, traveling around, let's say you're going to a convention or going to see maybe a friend that, lives out of state. Besides the apps that we mentioned, are there any other like good navigational apps that you personally would recommend when it comes to just kind of learning new areas and finding effective and efficient ways to get around?
Yeah, so WeWalk app is awesome for a lot of this.
Do you need a cane for that, though?
No, you can pay for a prescription without a cane.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
So WeWalk is pretty good for that. The other thing is Google, the good old Google Maps works fairly well on that as well. It's actually fairly accessible. I mean,
they have a verbose navigation mode for pedestrians that actually tell you like how far you are from crossings and stuff that they added a few years ago.
Yeah, and then the other one that I use for outside things that besides Uber and Lyft and so forth. All right, so let's talk about if you're going on vacation and you're going to go and you're going to go to the beach or you're going to go rent stuff. So there's a lot of rental places that are like still walk-in, so you can go rent a bike or whatever and just pay it with a card. And you can also download their apps and so forth. Like, if you come to San Diego, you go to cheap rental, it's still a personal interaction with somebody to get bikes and tandem bikes and tandem.
Oh, tandem bikes! I didn't know you could rent tandem bikes.
You can even do 4 people bikes, where it's like a little, I don't know, box car with 4 wheels and pedals and.
Yeah, there's a term for that, but
But yeah, so a lot of those things are still in person. So you just go there, but walk up and still do that. But like here in San Diego, you can rent bikes and scooters and so forth. I have to remind myself that we're all blind.
That's the thing.
And
I was
like,
literally just going to say we're blind.
I'm saying this. I'm like, wait, no, we don't normally do these things.
No. Like, this is like if, that'd be fun if you're traveling with friends, but.
I had to remind myself I'm not talking to sightlings. And
it's okay, dude.
I had a sightling moment, people. Forgive me for my sightling moment.
I won't let you live it down.
Oh, man. So the other thing that you might want to think about in regards to like accessibility and things to do is to download the museums apps or things in the area. So there's also like there's scavenger hunt things that you can do in different areas to learn about the environment and so forth. So a lot of these places have like community scavenger hunts to learn the history. If you want to do that, there's like walks and so forth. All that stuff is available. And some have apps, some have actual tour guides. It really depends. And I mean, that's kind of what you have to do. You have to pre-plan that before you get there. I mean, I guess you can do it when you get there. But for the most part, when you're traveling like that personally, I just say be prepared before you get there, so that when you get there,
Always.
you're gonna be able to have fun, and you kind of have a plan. I mean, not doesn't have to be a perfect plan, but
No, and it shouldn't be like. This is kind of touching on, I'm pretty sure, our old NLVL episode on travel, but if you don't try not to set a super rigid itinerary because it's going to just stress you out. But totally off topic. If you have the other thing to consider too is if you've got like Google Maps or Apple Maps, just the big two here. I'm sure Waze and other apps have this too. There is a category called things to do. And so you can literally tap that and it'll show you parks and museums and entertainment venues, and even show you sometimes like the pricing or if they're open or not, or give you options to their website. So that's another good way to just find, fun things to do, kind of around. And as far as navigating, I mean, personally, what I would say when navigating in just new areas, and nowadays, I don't want to have to learn their transit system. So what I'd probably do is personally just rideshare everywhere, but that gets expensive. So you can, again, use that transit app that we mentioned, or Move It if you want, and find buses that way. It's just really the thing we got to emphasize here is all of this is just based on personal preferences.
And I think one of the key things is to think through three things: your shelter, your food, and your water.
Yep.
Because honestly, water is tough to find when you're blind, when you're traveling. It's the most weirdest thing that I didn't realize until I started traveling a lot, is finding water. For some reason, drinkable water is just not easy. It just doesn't pop out of the middle of nowhere. And so a lot of times, those are the things that you need to think about. Like when I travel, I bring a water bottle with me.
Oh yeah.
And when I fly,
those are essential.
And also when traveling, because that way at least I know where I can get water and I can work that angle. Because I'll never forget, I was on a trip and I just wasn't gonna drink the hotel water out of the faucet, but I was like, all right, I gotta find somewhere to get water, and I couldn't find anything. And and then once I figured out, I'm gonna have to go get a bottle of water. So then I knew that I ordered a Amazon water delivery, and then got water that way. So those are the things that you're gonna have to think through when you're traveling.
Absolutely. But one thing that we're definitely not going to have to think through, or well, maybe we will, but is actually the
Sandwich of the week.
Yes. So my sandwich this week is actually, I'm gonna revisit a sandwich that I haven't had in a while now. From goodness, can you tell we're just absolutely pulling this out of the depths of our brains here?
Hey, I got a good one.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I haven't.
You're probably gonna out sandwich me this week, but I am right now craving a nice Italian from the 12-inch Italian from Snarf's. Oh my gosh, you can't go wrong with a Snarf's Italian sub. Though, if you have a Snarf's sandwiches in your area and you like sandwiches and you have never visited a Snarf's before, finish this episode and then go do that. Well, at least that's what I say. I think they're fantastic. But out sandwich me, Kelvin. What you got?
So McDonald's. Okay.
What?
Here we go. You ready? Here we go.
What?
Here we go.
What? Oh, okay.
All right. It just came out literally yesterday as of this recording. I haven't had one yet, but I hear it's not bad. It is the chicken Big Macs. And
The chicken Big Mac?
yeah, the Big Mac. So chicken Big Mac. So
That's a new thing.
2 chicken
Yeah.
patties with all the fancy stuff that the Big Mac has.
Ah, so they traded out the beef patty for a chicken patty, huh?
Exactly. So
Ah.
so you got your wish for tech, and I'm getting my wish for.
You got your
house.
wish for a sandwich. That's awesome.
So if you guys try that out, let me know what you think about it. If you think it's garbage or not.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's not tech related, but that doesn't mean anything. Send us feedback, of course, feedback at aftersight.org or 720-712-8856. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I'm going to have to try one. Maybe I'll break my McDonald's rule and actually get some.
Hey, McDonald's.
I'm trying to I don't know, man. I'm trying to cut out refined sugars, but I can't help it sometimes. Well, before we wrap up this episode, really the main points we want to summarize here, when it comes to just traveling independently by yourself, no sightlings or anything, is that don't overthink it. The tools that you've already got, most likely, whether that be Google Maps or Uber, Lyft, or the transit app, will already help you, and use those to your advantage. It definitely does not hurt to fire up Be My AI or Be My Eyes or Aira, especially in an unfamiliar location. It's just kind of a matter of efficiency and how quickly do you want to get from point A to point B, and what method or avenue do you want to take to do that. And really, it's just a matter of exploring and networking with people, finding, potentially making new friends or whatever it might be, and just knowing the tools that you have and how to use them to the best of your abilities. And Kelvin, is there anything you'd like to wrap up with though before we end this crazy train here? Goodness gracious.
Well, I think one of the things that we need to remind ourselves, when we travel, we're traveling with a bunch of challenges, right? The question is how are you going to live beyond that challenge? And the more...
such a Kelvin response.
And the question is, the more you prepare ahead of time for the unknown, the easier it will be to make that travel.
Should the unknown come up, and it will.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna lie, there might be times where you get lost.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, you could either be like, "Oh no, I'm lost. Woe is me," or if you've just literally sometimes, if you have nowhere to go, just start walking and find something, or grab a ride share or open your favorite navigational app, because they're only there to really help you out. That's what they're there for, and they're great services, and it's a fantastic thing to have. And with that being said, this has been another episode of Blind Level Tech. Be sure to check out, if you haven't before, check out our BLT Bites as well, because those are chock full of little tech demonstrations and tech tips, and they go right before, a day before the full-length BLT episodes drop, and they're a lot of fun. So if you only watch or listen to the full BLT episodes and don't check out the bites, you're kind of missing out a little bit. Just saying. And yeah, with that being said, I am your host, Evan Starnes, and I'm joined by my energetic co-host, Kelvin Crosby.
Go live beyond your challenges and plug in your device.